From Ticker, this is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
Good morning, my name's Miles Primrose and welcome to the Trades and Builders Business Show. So with these funny times that we've got going on in Australia and around the world at the moment, one of the things that my business would like to offer is for the trades and builders anywhere in Australia. If you'd like to have a chat with myself and one of my team about your business, maybe recreating your business, putting together a 90-day plan, even a 30-day plan, or even discussing some strategies to actually help your business, you're more than welcome to actually hop on the website, businesssight.com.au. You'll find a calendar booking form on there. Book a 15-20 minute appointment. We could have a Zoom call or a phone call, and we're more than happy to actually discuss with you one-on-one your business and the opportunities that are confronting you at the moment to see how we can help you. Now on the Trades and Builders Business Show, we're going to have a quick look at a chat which we had with Chelsea from RMT Builders from Queenstown earlier this week. And we met Chelsea through Stephanie through the Tradie Lady Club. So this is another great example of how powerful our networks are. So let's have a listen to what Chelsea had to say earlier on this week. Chelsea, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
All the way from the other side, from New Zealand.
Yeah.
Kia ora. Hang on, that's right, isn't it? So the reason we've got you on the show is one of the big focuses of the Trades and Builders Business Show is to talk to a lot of the women in the industry and find out how they're helping the industry, what things they're doing, what new things you're doing, and some of the great changes that are you're having an impact on. And I suppose one of the things I want to ask straight away is why did you decide to get into the building industry? What was the interest for you?
So one of the biggest reasons was trades in New Zealand were really lacking in, I guess, I want to say staff, but it's not a company. They needed more people to work in trades. I was working a graphic design job, and that whole career was oversaturated and underpaid. I wanted to own our own house at some point, and the only way that I was going to get to do that was really to build it myself. So all those three things together kind of made sense, moving into a trades job and learning what I needed to be doing to build my own house, helping the trade situation, and earning good money from it. And yeah.
And how did you end up finding out who was the right person to work for?
I was quite lucky. So my partner and myself actually moved from Auckland to Queenstown. So from the top of the North Island to the bottom of the South Island, pretty much, to live with my brother, who is also he is a qualified carpenter here in Queenstown. And he already worked for a company, and the company was happy to take us on. So I pretty much just went and started labouring with them for the first 6 months before I started a carpentry apprenticeship.
So how do you find balancing sort of relationships and work and making your sort of making everything work? Because you're working a few hours a week at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah, so I work with my brother every day, so he is pretty much my foreman on site. My partner also works for the same company, but he's qualified, so he works with his own separate crew. So we don't have too much, I guess, confliction there. But we are also building our own house now, so that means working after work hours. It is a little bit slow, so we haven't really gone full force into that yet. So timings are right as it comes into winter, and obviously there's less daylight hours for us here due to daylight savings. It does get a little bit tricky, just because you feel like your days are just cut short, like every day. There's so much less time to do everything and get things done, but you kind of just make it work, even if it is long nights.
And so how long have you, I suppose, been in the building industry? How many years?
So I started labouring at the start of 2018 when we moved to Queenstown. So this will be my third year.
Okay. I just sense that there's a lot more experience coming from you than that short period of time. It seems like you know what you're doing.
I just ask a lot of questions. I don't like being someone who's on site and you kind of just push over with what someone says to you, and you get onto the job and you don't want to look stupid by just agreeing with what everyone says. I feel like to understand things, I really have to be like, no, I don't know what you're saying, like explain it to me different. And I think that's where it does get a lot of people. They don't want to feel vulnerable in a new situation and just agree with things, even if they don't know what they're doing. And that's when mistakes happen. So it's just one of the things that I try and do is ask a lot of questions until I do actually know what I'm doing. I feel like that's helped me quite a lot with understanding what I'm doing and why I'm doing it.
So do you have any advice for, I suppose, other females that actually want to get into the trade or the building side of things? What would your suggestions be?
I think a lot of women are quite scared to take on a trade because of the stigma that obviously it's a man's job. Women just don't go out there and take on trades. And also the peer pressure as well from their peers, that it's a man's job and you feel like you're doing it to please them. And people need to realise that their friends may go and do something that they didn't get asked about, and it's going to be the same for them if they go and do a trade. Their friends aren't going to care about it. You might think that they do in your mind, but yeah, it's all in your head. You should definitely just go out and do it, and just don't worry about what other people think, because they don't care about it.
So where is you're based in Queenstown?
Yeah.
And so how far out would you actually travel to do work? Is it are you staying within a close proximity of the town, or how far out would you go?
I think a lot of people are going to get jealous by this. I think the two closest towns are about 45-minute drive away, and we don't even work that far. So from one side of town to the other, it might be a 20-minute drive. And as far out as we would ever go would probably be 20 minutes. Although we have had some jobs that are further afield, but I haven't worked on them myself. But yeah, there is some out there, but 20-25 minutes is probably max.
Okay, so that's mostly pretty good. So you don't have to travel too far. You're living in a beautiful place and you don't have to travel far, and it sounds like you've got some great people to work with.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you like to see more of in the industry? Would there be some things you would like to see more of, or things you'd like to see change?
I think we're heading in the right direction. Before I started, I think I would have told you the acceptance of women into the trades, but every single day having new people come onto site and just like seeing other women on site and just getting used to it. And I think also social media has kind of helped this too. Just making it a common thing and not making it anything that's different. Just making it acceptable so that when people come on site, they're expecting it. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
And what do you, if you think about when you first started in the building industry, and then you think about now, what was your perception of the building industry then, and what is it now? Like, what's changed?
Well, the two fears that I kind of had when I first started, or before I was making the decision to take on a trade, really was I was going to be so scared to use a portaloo because they're always really, really disgusting. and that I'm really bad at maths. I suck. I'm not afraid to admit it because I know some people really struggle with English, but English, luckily, I was really good at reading and writing, but maths just did not stick. And a couple of things that I've learned now is when you're not in the building industry, you come across portaloos at festivals. You've got hundreds of thousands of people and hardly any toilets, and that's when they're disgusting. So most of the time on site, they're cleaned for us every 2 weeks. They smell like jelly beans, and they're actually really, really nice. And and maths, everyone has phones these days. You have calculators for a reason, so just use it.
So one of the reasons I suppose the reason how I connected with you is through two channels. One is through Instagram, and the other one is because of Steph, who's the start of the Tradie Lady Club.
Yeah.
And I do remember when I went to connect with you, and you told me you were modelling.
Funny.
Of course you were. You actually were.
Yeah, I was.
Which is fantastic. It's so you were modelling some clothes that were obviously specifically made for females, because there was up until a little while ago there was only clothing for the males, I suppose.
Yeah.
What I want to know about is with Instagram, like, has that sort of helped you look at what other people are using for like work technique or tools, or and if so, can you tell me like what are some things that have that come to mind that have you've seen on Instagram and you go, actually I want to try using that, or I didn't know you could do that way? What would be some things there that you've learned from?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest thing as an apprentice is having other people criticize your work. And one of the biggest things that I've always said to other people on Instagram when they comment on my things, anything nasty or anything that kind of criticizes my work, is that I'm an apprentice, I'm still learning. Instead of telling me what I shouldn't do, tell me how I can improve, how there are different ways to do things, and that way that I can learn from it as well. So one of the things that I think I remember the most was actually seeing Steph doing some flush pulls on some cavity slided doors, and she dropped in a circular saw and then used the chisel from each end to chisel them out. I'd never seen anyone else do that before. They always use routers, but obviously routers are expensive. Not everyone has one. So you always have to find different ways of doing things. And I thought I'd try that way that Steph had done. And that's how I now do my flush pulls. It works really well. It's clean, it's tidy. And yeah, that's one of the things that Instagram's helped me with. Just seeing new ideas and finding new ways to do things.
I know a couple of things where I've actually watched you doing some of your projects on Instagram, and it was literally the week after you came back from Australia, and you were working on a deck.
Yeah.
And you there was a video, and you actually re-said what you said, because I think you said it in the way we might have said it. It could have meant something else. It was hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say it because I know you want me to say it, but I'm not going to do it.
But the main point is, though, that it's great actually following some of a lot of your work, because I can actually see you've got a very high standard that you put on yourself for actually making sure that the work you do is done great. And I believe that's great, not just for you, but to show the blokes out there that the females can do a better job than some of the blokes out there, because I've seen some guys out there which are really sloppy, and your work standard's really high.
Yeah.
Your language between Australia and New Zealand is funny also. But
yeah, I think the work standard thing, My brother that I work with, it's just myself and him. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. I feel like when you work with someone who has been in the industry for, I don't know, 16, 17 odd years, you try and compare yourself to who you work with. It can be a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, it means that I learn a lot. He can teach me a lot, but it also means I compare myself to him. And obviously, I've only got 3 years experience and I'm nowhere near as fast and accurate as he is, but that kind of crushes me sometimes that I'm not up to the same level, just because I compare myself to him, because I don't have anyone else to compare myself to. And that's probably been one of the hardest things during my apprenticeship, trying not to compare myself with someone who has so much experience. But yeah, I'm slowly getting there. I think my second year was probably the worst. I cried a lot and I learned a lot. But yeah.
With your Instagram following, I think you've got 12,600 followers. And
Yeah.
that's apparently, I think you said that you've been pretty steady with getting that amount of people. And up until I think a few days ago, I thought this is great because just about all of your posts are actually related to the building industry. So it's not actually you taking a photo of what you're having for breakfast and a cup of coffee and that type of stuff. There was, I think, one food shot in the last few weeks, but overall, it's been fantastic. You've built up a great following because people actually enjoying, I think, not just the high work standards that you do, but also some of the photos around Queenstown are fantastic. It literally is like a postcard. You're living in a postcard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I get messages all the time being like, "Oh, I didn't know they had that view in Australia," and I have to remind people that it's not Australia, unfortunately. It is New Zealand, totally different part of the world. As nice as Australia is, but yes, it is Queenstown. And just as well, I always have to remind myself sometimes you can get lost in the numbers on Instagram and what you're expected to provide when your account grows bigger. But I think just keeping to what you set out to achieve and having a goal, having a main focus on what your page, like what you want your page to look like. I don't care really too much about advertising things or helping in any way like that. I just want people to see my work. I want other women to see my work and know that if I can do it, they can do it as well. And I always have to remind myself of that. It may not get likes, it may not get many comments, but visually, if people can see it and they like what I'm doing, that's what matters really.
So how many posts or videos do you do a day? Do you have like a certain amount that you that's a goal, or you just do whatever happens?
Yeah, no, definitely no goal. I just make sure I try and not repeat content too much. Obviously, if I'm working on, or almost just said it then, if I'm working on, well, if we were digging footings or something like that for a solid week, I'd only put it up once on my actual page. But if obviously each day I can go through and share it on my stories. What I do put on my posts, I try and not post on my stories about it, just so obviously I'm not sharing the content twice and saving a little bit for my posts for people to actually see.
So with your life, like who's been a great influence for you?
So my youngest brother, who's older than me, and my oldest brother as well. So I have 3 brothers, and 2 of my brothers are both qualified carpenters, and so is my partner. So pretty much all 3 of them just always, I think probably my brother that I work with the most, we currently live with him, and he, 2 years ago finished building his own house as well, and that's what my partner and myself have just set out to do. And he was working very, very long days. Obviously, we're doing all our work outside of work hours. So, just probably my brother.
Okay, fantastic. So, is there somebody or something that actually inspires you in life?
Myself.
That's okay. You can be yourself. That's fine.
Yeah, I think I inspire myself for the fact that I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not doing what anyone else wants me to do, and trying to make a change in the industry, I guess, and trying to become the best person I can be. That's probably it.
And what are you doing to actually, if you're in your third year, what are you doing to actually pick up any business skills that you need along the way to, in the end, obviously become a builder?
I may be in my third year, but unfortunately it is only the second year of my apprenticeship, just because I came into building and construction so what they call green. I knew absolutely nothing. I didn't know how to put nails in a nail gun. So I am a little bit behind where everyone else, I guess, would be tracking, as well as being stuck on a couple of very big architectural builds. So that's kind of put me behind in learning a lot of the essential foundation and basics in building. So I guess looking into business and things like that, it's not on my mind just yet. I just want to progress a little bit further in my apprenticeship, and that would be definitely something I look into down the line. Obviously, I work with two other people who are related or one day related to me, so having a business together may also be a possibility there.
So if I talk about the tools that you use, I mean, I've got two questions. What tools do you use that others might not be aware of? So I'm actually talking physically on the tools, but then also then you've got your next thing I want to ask about that is Instagram, which I'll get back to that next. But is there things that you picked up in the last 3, 6 or 9 months where you've seen something online or you've seen something on Instagram and you thought, I've never seen that before, or that's brand new, you want to try it, and it's actually, you're really happy with it? What would be some, or it actually might be better for females to use for some reason? I'm not talking about a left-handed screwdriver, but is there a few things, or they could be brand new things that have just come out? Can you think of anything that would be useful to actually let other people know about?
I guess, to be honest, that new women's wear range from BusinessSight clothing, prior to having something that fitted really well, I was always wearing men's clothes. They're too big. And finally having a pair of pants that doesn't fall down when I bend over, that's always a bonus. And singlets that you can do your work in without having to hold your top up because your boobs are going to fall out. That's probably, I'd rate the workwear as one of the biggest tools. I mean, you wear it every single day, so why not?
Okay. So with Instagram, do you use an iPhone or a different phone, or?
I have a Samsung S10.
Okay. And how long did it sort of take you to become reasonably good at actually setting the phone up? And have you got one of those things you click once you put the phone over there to no? So
No.
Actually, I think I've seen you where you've actually walked up to the phone and pressed something and then walked away. Okay.
Yeah, I do that quite a lot in my stories, because I mean, stories don't need to be curated. They don't need to look good. Like, it's what you're doing every day at work. So yeah, if you see me walking up to the phone and pulling a stupid face, that's probably, I just do that for the camera. There's a bit of work in there as well. But most of the time I will set my phone up somewhere and video myself and then take a screenshot afterwards. And sometimes you get quite a bit of stick on Instagram because people are like, oh, you don't do any work, you just post the photos. But the reality is I can be taking a 10 or 20-minute video and my phone is videoing the whole time. So no, I'm not on my phone. And then you're screenshotting it afterwards. So yeah, that's what you see most of the time. And if it's in a difficult place, like up on a roof or something like that, I'll get my brother or Dan or someone else to take the picture for me.
So how long do you think that you would actually spend doing all this a week? Would it be an hour a week, or what do you think?
Honestly, writing a post probably can take anywhere, as long as no one's talking to me and I can focus on what I'm writing. I can do it in a smoko, so maybe max 30 minutes with 25 and 5 minutes to eat my food. And then stories only take a couple of seconds. Like if I'm talking, don't have to write anything. I literally just video what I need to video, talk about it, post it up, forget about it, and reply to comments and replies like that at smoko and lunchtime and after work. And that's probably the biggest thing, replying to people's messages, replying to comments. And I guess it's like an ongoing job. It does take a while. I'm probably on my phone a lot more than I should be, giving my attention to the wrong thing sometimes. And it's one thing that I think I really do need to work on. But yeah, I think I'd say maybe an hour a day consecutively, trying to make sure I answer messages and things like that.
Well, we've got time for two more questions or comments. One of them is, what would be your comment or suggestion for females that wanted to get into a trade or the building industry? What would be your bit of advice? Just do it? Yeah,
honestly, the biggest thing is just do it. Don't even think about it. If you want to do it, just make that step. Go and find maybe a construction site that works Saturdays. If you've never done construction before, go and hit them up, ask them if you can work a day for free or a weekend, see if you enjoy it, see if you can handle the pressure, I guess. And even if you have to work unpaid, as long as you're getting that experience, it'll help you in the long run if you do want to find a job further down the line. A lot of people ask me if I've done a pre-trade. I didn't. I went into it knowing absolutely nothing. Lots of companies will take you on as labour only because they need the hands. And then obviously that can progress into an apprenticeship. So that's one of the biggest things to look for, is trying to just start as a labour only and don't look for an apprenticeship straight away, because you really need the experience before taking on an apprenticeship.
Okay, and my last thing is, you've actually made a pretty special friend from Instagram in the last few years, haven't you?
Yeah, she's pretty special, all right.
Is she close by?
Yeah, she's pretty close.
Can Brooke pop her head in the screen and just give us a wave?
Hey.
Hello, how are you?
Hello,
She, a little bit closer, a little bit closer.
I've just been watching on the sidelines.
All right, so we're going to see you on the next show, Brooke. We're going to have a chat to you about your life and you being the Sparky girl in Queenstown.
Yeah, that's me.
All right, Chelsea, thank you very much for your time on the show today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
You're on the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name is Miles Primrose and we'll be back with you very soon.
Ticker. This is the Trades and Builders Business Show with Miles Primrose.
My name's Miles Primrose and you're back on the trade. Just been watching Chelsea Roper from Queenstown. And look, she's a very positive and realistic and down-to-earth person. And it's amazing to listen to somebody that's got that much energy and a great view on life, especially with what's happening in the world at the moment. So, and it's, I want to thank Chelsea for her time. That was actually recorded yesterday, and when sort of New Zealand got the news of, you know, a total lockdown. So we want to thank Chelsea for being on the show. One of the things I'll actually close on at the moment is, or there's two things. First of all is the power of networking. Now, because last year I've had quite a bit to do with Stephanie, who started the Tradie Lady Club. That actually opened up a network for me, and one of the networks was the amount of people in the building industry that I've actually started to connect with in New Zealand. And because of that, you know, I got to meet Chelsea and a few other great trades and apprentices over in New Zealand. So remember to actually make sure that you pay attention to actually who's in your network, and actually be genuine about what you can do for them, and focus on them, and be really clear on actually your purpose and how you can help them. The last thing that we'll talk about today is the situation that we've got at the moment with the trades and building industry. And obviously one of the things that has been spoken about recently is the essential services that can still keep them working, which at the moment is, you know, a lot of the trades and builders. A lot of you might be thinking about, you know, what's going to happen now, what's going to happen next week, what's going to happen next month. If any of you that have a business, that you're a trades and a builder, and you'd like to hop on a quick call with myself or one of my team, all you have to do is go to the website businesssight.com.au. There'll be a booking calendar on there. You can book a time, and we're more than happy to actually hop on a call with you, or a Zoom call or a phone call, and talk to you about your challenges and your business. There's no obligation. You could do that. I think we've got a couple of spaces left next week. So today's been fun listening to Chelsea and her view on what it's like to be a third-year apprentice in Queenstown in New Zealand. It literally does look like a postcard. We'll look forward to actually seeing you again next week on the Trades and Builders Business Show. My name's Miles Primrose. Thank you.
This is Ticker, your new source for news.